Hello everybody. In this video, I'm going to be talking through a small fleet engagement in EVE Online from my perspective. My name is Degnar Oskold, and I am a line member in the Justified Chaos Corporation within the Spaceship Bebop Alliance in the Gallente Militia. In this fight, a fleet from the Gallente Militia will be fighting a combined fleet from the Caldari Militia and the Bastard Cartel, a low-sec pirate group. In addition, we will see some Killmail whores coming in later in the fight. These will be Exodus and Plexodus, who will be joining in to try to pad their kill boards. This fight will involve nearly 100 players in the game. 40 of those will be in the Gallente Militia fleet, centered on a core of 20 short-ranged, heavily armored brawling battleships, together with an equal number of various support vessels, from carriers through to logistics cruisers. The Bastard Cartel are bringing a similar but smaller force, with about 11 brawling battleships together with a number of support ships including Guardian logistics cruisers. The Caldari fleet is centered on 14 rattlesnakes, as well as including many support vessels including Basilisk logistics cruisers. The main Caldari strategy is for the rattlesnakes to drop sentry drones, which are immobile but with long range and significant damage, while the battleships themselves will then kite around the enemy fleet, adding additional damage with long-range missile launchers. We don't care about what Exodus or Plexodus bring because they are just Killmail whores.
Jumping, they're jumping.
Everyone warp
Hold on,
optimals,
hold on. Yep, okay.
warp optimals, load up void now.
At this point, the enemy fleet has just entered system, and so our fleet is warping towards the Stargate that they are at. Now, it's kind of unusual to have a carrier warping as part of a battleship fleet. However, in this case, since we know that we will be facing a lot of sentry drones from rattlesnakes, we are trying a new tactic where my carrier will be used to deploy space superiority fighters to try to quickly clear out the enemy drones and therefore reduce the incoming damage on our fleet. This battle is the first time that Gallente Militia will be trying this doctrine.
8 to 1 guys.
I got the rattlesnake at Corvus.
Okay, just keep holding them if you can, Iggy. Primary up last Spartan, guys. Primary up last Spartan.
As our fleet lands, the enemy fleet is already in deep trouble. The last Spartan, who is Caldari Militia's fleet commander and who they were expecting to follow, has been scrammed and webbed, meaning that his ship is almost completely immobile. The Caldari Militia are not opening fire at this stage, as they are hoping to make it back to the Stargate with most of their fleet, whereupon they can jump through and reform on the other side and wait for the Bastard Cartel's reinforcements to arrive to help them. As the Caldari have not engaged us yet, they have not started deploying their drones, and so there are no good targets for my space superiority fighters. I am forced to attack the fleet primary with them, which does very little damage. There are some drones on the field, but those are from an earlier fight, and the ships controlling them are no longer present. This will complicate my life in the next couple of minutes, as it takes much more effort to try to identify live drones from old dead ones, which are not valid anymore. Before this fight started, it was agreed between me and the fleet commander that my carrier would have independence to select its own optimal targets during the fight. This is normally bad practice, but as we were trying to develop a new doctrine for using carriers to hit enemy drones, this was accepted by the fleet commander.
Hey, Ignacio, I got secondary point on that rattle for you, bud.
All right, brother.
Secondary will be
I got
Intimidator. Secondary will be Intimidator. Keep on last Spartan. Go ahead and give over last Spartan some overheat, please.
As the fleet attempts to finish off the last Spartan, I notice the enemy are deploying logistics drones, and so I try to target them. At that point, they also begin deploying combat drones, and so I have to untarget the logistics drones in order to lock up the combat drones. Even once I turn on my network sensor array, the drones take a long time to lock up, and then I must of course untarget them before I can start targeting the enemy combat drones instead.
ABC just jumped in.
Vic has drones on
Nice.
Intimidator.
The last Spartan's ship is destroyed a few seconds after the Bastard Cartel jump into the battle. I then start focusing on trying to take down the sentry drones that the rattlesnakes have deployed. However, it becomes very clear that even 3 SSF squadrons are taking time to chew through one drone. The Caldari, though, have also deployed a Gecko drone, which is very expensive, very rare, very high damage, and a very high priority for me. So I set my 3 squadrons to work on it, and they chew through it at a very good rate. At this point, the additional damage caused by the Bastard Cartel's battleships has forced our fleet commander to bring in our 2 Force Auxiliary triage ships. With them has also come an additional combat carrier, an Archon.
I got him.
What's
I got
primary?
him whipped.
Primary May Arthusa and the Lachesis. Primary May Arthusa and the Lachesis. Secondary will be Nathaniel and the Megatron. Alright, switch primary.
As the enemy Gecko drone gets destroyed, I turn my attention back to the sentry drones. These are guard drones, which are very close range, very high damage drones. Destroying them will reduce the amount of incoming damage to our fleet, reducing the pressure on our Force Auxiliary ships to repair our own vessels.
Broadcast for reps, we got triage on field.
I have Dentos scrammed.
Do you want my tackle to burn out to those Proteuses, or to those rattlesnakes that are out of point range?
Yes, please, get a scram on the
got it.
snakes.
At this point, the battle is going quite well for us. With our 2 Force Auxiliary vessels, the Apostles, on field, we're able to repair much of the incoming damage. However, the Bastard Cartel are about to bring a trick out of their sleeve.
All DPS on Nathaniel, all DPS
You gotta
on
get that
Nathaniel.
Balgorn off me, dude.
A Bastard Cartel Balgorn muting battleship piloted by Retain has started draining the capacitor of one of our Force Auxiliary ships.
Switch your primary to Retain, switch your primary to Retain. He's broadcasted.
The fleet commander has instructed the fleet to focus fire on destroying Retain's Balgorn. That ship is currently sucking out the capacitor of our Force Auxiliary ships, which stops them from being able to repair other ships or even themselves. The space superiority fighters from my carrier, however, will do very little damage to a Balgorn. Instead, I continue my primary mission of removing enemy sentry drones. At this point, I realize that the Kaldari have deployed yet another Gecko. Again, very high damage, very expensive, very dangerous, very high priority, and I direct my carrier's squadrons to remove it from the field immediately. My overview at this point really starts showing how many drones the Kaldari rattlesnakes are deploying, and I start realizing that I probably won't be able to kill enough of them fast enough to really make a difference, and that I should probably soon switch over to damage fighters.
Guys, get in close on Retain, load up Void, get in close, load up Void. All DPS
What?
on Retain.
As the fleet moves in to finish off Retain, I realize that the Kaldari have deployed yet another Gecko and send my fighters in to take that one out as well.
Iggy, do you think you can jump off some of those guards?
I am literally doing that as we speak.
Okay. Alright, he's breaking. Overheat on Retain, overheat on Retain.
As Retain continues to take even more damage, our fleet commander calls for our command destroyer pilot to try to use his microjump field generator to remove as many of the Guardian logistics cruisers as possible far away from Retain, where they will not be able to provide him with effective repairs.
Secondary will be Itachi, secondary Itachi.
I'm holding for now.
Can I get
I
that broadcast
plan on
on
I got
secondary?
three guards.
Scram.
Excellent, nice job, Iggy.
Rebroadcast Itachi.
Alright. Switch to Itachi
I
now.
broadcast.
Itachi in the Armageddons. Itachi in the Armageddon.
Our fleet has managed to turn the situation around. 3 Guardians have been jumped off away from the battle, Retain's Balgorn has been destroyed, and our fleet commander is now telling us to focus on an enemy Armageddon muting battleship.
Primary Itachi, secondary Ace in the Megathron. Secondary Ace in the Megathron.
Megathrons now become the primary focus.
Primary up Ace in the Megathron, primary up Ace in the Megathron, secondary Dentos in the Megathron, secondary Dentos in the Megathron. Tertiary Arcturus, tertiary Arcturus in the Megathron.
Okay, I'm gonna start burning out towards Rattlesnake.
I have point on Nathaniel.
Trigo's get on cap.
Okay, primary up Dentos, primary up Dentos. Secondary Arcturus, secondary Arcturus. Pulse your MWDs once.
At this point, I've decided to recall my space superiority fighters and instead replace them with light fighters that'll allow me to effectively attack the enemy battleships. Swapping fighters round is a bit of a time-consuming process, as you can see. However, I'll now be able to inflict significant damage on enemy ships.
Okay, switch primary now to Arcturus, Arcturus. Actually, scratch that. Switch primary to Nathaniel. Switch primary to Nathaniel, secondary Arcturus, secondary Arcturus.
Their guards are
Tertiary
not backwards and
Sinjin.
camper into each other.
Secondary Sinjin, primary Nathaniel, primary Nathaniel.
Zoe, how's your cap?
57.
Come out.
Okay, I got points on rattlesnakes.
Excellent. Let's finish off with we'll finish off their megas first.
Yep.
As you can tell, we started feeling quite confident about the battle at this point.
Hey,
Yeah,
if there's tackle,
you gotta eliminate some of those megas so I can hold.
Trying. Alright, switch primary to Arcturus now. Arcturus.
The number of ships we had destroyed to this point was still not enough to relieve our fleet auxiliary pilots, who reported that their defenses were close to breaking. By this point, my carrier had its damage fighters out and was inflicting significant amounts of damage on enemy battleships, much more than would have been possible with space superiority fighters. The trade-off is, under this configuration, I can do very little damage to enemy drones or to small ships like interceptors and destroyers.
Scram fallen. Fallenry.
Scrum, Miko.
Primary Sinjin. Primary Sinjin.
A few seconds ago, my carrier got a killing blow on a Megatron.
Can I get a broadcast, please?
You might lose a triage.
Cap good, thanks, Logi.
What's your timer, MP?
Nah, I just went into a fresh cycle, dude. Zoe, are you out of triage?
A badly damaged Force Auxiliary reports that it's on the verge of going down, and being in triage, it can't receive any repairs at the moment either.
Switch primary to
I
the
got
Geddon.
5 guards, 5 guards, 5
Fucking
guards,
awesome.
5 guards.
Alright, switch primary to Arnok. Arnok in the Geddon. Arnok in the Geddon. Primary
All
Arnok in the
3
Geddon.
remaining guards jammed.
A critical moment in the battle has just occurred. 5 out of the 8 Guardian logistics cruisers that the Bastard Cartel brought to the fight in order to repair their ships have been jumped out of effective range by our command destroyer. The 3 remaining Guardians have been jammed by our ECM ships. We have a window of opportunity to inflict damage on the Bastard Cartel, which they are unable to repair.
Primary
FC,
Arnok in the Geddon.
I'm
Yes.
climbing
they're
back
bailing.
up.
Point
I held.
alcohol.
I'm holding.
Roger. Finish off Elpin in the Geddon. Elpin in the Geddon.
Broadcast.
I broadcasted him.
Elpin has been broadcast. Primary Elpin. Secondary alcohol. Secondary alcohol. Tertiary Mikal.
Is that our nag?
This is not our nag. Not our nag.
Squid nag on field.
At this point, the Bastard Cartel elect to retreat and try to remove what ships they can out of the battle. However, the Kaldari have done the opposite, committing a Naglifer-class Dreadnought to the battle.
Primary alcohol. Primary alcohol. Second. Get your nukes
Check
on
our
the nag,
Logi
please.
just got
Nukes on the
jumped
nag.
off.
Logi is boosted. Logi is boosted off.
All of
Alright,
it?
just bounce and warp. Logi, bounce and warp. Triage, how you doing?
Barely holding.
Alright, primary up Mikal. Primary up Mikal. Primary up Mikal. After that, we're going in for Kato. After that, we're going for the Dread.
The enemy Dreadnought pounding on our damaged Force Auxiliary ship is bad enough. However, on top of that, an enemy command destroyer has gotten close enough to our logistics cruisers to use a micro-jump fuel generator to move them 100 kilometers away, out of range of being able to repair us effectively.
Bifrost just landed on us.
Everyone, MWD's on, MWD's on, MWD's on.
FC, I'm gonna go down.
Our Force Auxiliary ship pilot confirms that his ship is finally about to be destroyed. However, he will be avenged as the fleet maneuvers into position to assault the enemy Dreadnought directly.
Primary is the Dread, primary Kato and the
Roger.
Dread.
Point on nag.
Astronaut is warping back to the gate at 50. Back to the gate at 50.
Orbit him at 1,000. Orbit the Dread at 1,000.
Yeah, orbit Dread at 1,000, guys.
As my fleet begins to focus fire on the enemy Naglfar, I am forced to return my fighters to their bay for rearming as they have used up their stock of missiles. The missiles on light fighters account for somewhere between a third to a half of the total damage output that they can inflict. While waiting for the fighters to rearm, I also consider what my next moves will be, and decide to lock up enemy drones and small ships, such as the Malediction Interceptor, that's been constantly pointing my carrier and pinning me down on field since about halfway through the battle so far. But first, I am going to launch my light fighters again and try to help the fleet destroy the enemy Naglfar Dreadnought. I'm stuck watching the timer on my fighter reloading count down, but finally they're ready and I'm able to launch the fighters and get to work.
Get your newts on him, get your newts on him.
He's catching.
He's repping a little bit.
The enemy Dreadnought is now in a lot of trouble. In fact, we're killing him much faster than we anticipated. We did not know it at the time, but the Dreadnought is extremely badly fit, and he has virtually no protection for his shield's resistances, so he's taking a very high portion of the damage that our fleet is applying to him. This Dreadnought will be dead very shortly.
Everybody lock up Shofixty, lock up Shofixty.
Logistics is back on field.
Make sure Shofixty is locked, please. Second triage, how are you doing?
Holding, but they're all on me.
Roger, just keep, you're doing God's work, keep it up.
Can you try to jump the Bazzies into us? Or the rattlesnakes even, just a couple snakes jumping into
Bifrost
us?
very close.
Bifrost is jumping you guys.
Fuck. Whoa.
That's
Too
down.
little, too late. Everybody,
We have MJDs.
yeah, we do. Everybody realign back to the gate, realign back to the gate, realign back to the gate, and MJD on once you're aligned.
At the very moment that the enemy Dreadnought was destroyed, an enemy Bifrost command destroyer managed to get close to our battleships and activate a micro-jump fuel generator to move them 100 kilometers away from their original location. Fortunately, our fleet commander had foreseen this possibility, and every battleship was equipped with a micro-jump drive, so they simply reorientated towards their original location, activated the drive, and arrived back where they were supposed to be all along.
Do we have any fast tackle at all?
Yeah,
you got me.
Alright, get on that fucking Bifrost next time he comes in.
Copy that.
Once again, I have returned my fighters to my hangar in order to swap my configuration. This time, I'm going to be trying to hit small ships, particularly that Malediction. I will be trying something new for this. Normally, light fighters have a very hard time hitting small ships like interceptors, so I'm going to load up 2 squadrons of space superiority fighters, and then 1 squadron of Dromi webbing fighters. The idea is to web the Malediction to make it move slower, while my space superiority fighters inflict significant damage to it. Let's take a look at how this one pans out.
I have tackle on Tendil. He's a rattlesnake.
Roger. Scram.
Yep, Scram and Web. He's not going
MWD's
anywhere.
on, guys. MWD's on. MWD's on. Getting close to these snakes. Getting close.
So as you can see, that worked pretty well. The Malediction was forced to run away from me, although he did just come back and point me again. At this point, the fight is essentially over. The Kaldari militia are not able to break the repping power of our force auxiliary ship, and although they stay on the field for a couple more minutes, all they get out of this is losing a few of their own battleships themselves. So, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Thanks for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to fly with us, just join Galanti Militia, sign up with one of the main corporations, and then remember, X up for fleet.